I'm joined by Zia Atahi on the show. Zia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on your radio show, and it's a pleasure to obviously speak to you.
Now, you have such an impressive story. I don't think I can do it justice. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself to get started?
Thank you so much. My name is Zia Atahi. I was born in Afghanistan. I came to Australia in 2005, and I lived in Sydney for 2 years. And then I moved to Melbourne in 2007. Since 2007, I have been living in Melbourne. And I finished my high school in Melbourne here, and I started doing photography from 2014 onward. And since then, I'm working as a freelance photographer. And I've been basically involved with Afghan community and the Australian community, running workshops and doing photography, something that I really love.
Now, last year you were a finalist for the National Portrait Prize in Canberra, and this year you also won the Bonus Photography Prize. You started photography about 5 years ago. What was it that first got you interested in photography, and what's it meant to you since?
To be really honest with you, before photography, I was doing architecture. So when I finished high school, I was always interested to do something creative. So that was my first option to go and study architecture. When I went to uni and I studied at RMIT for 1.5 years, then I realized that it's not something that I really wanted. Then my second option was to do photography. While I was doing architecture, I actually borrowed a camera from the RMIT uni to do my project, and then I got interested in taking photos. I was just doing it, just as a hobby. And then some of my friends and family members, they saw the work and they said to me that you can become a good photographer because your photographs are very good. At that time, I wasn't really sure. I wasn't sure that I can actually do photography as a career and I take that as a profession. But there was something that I really liked about taking photos because it was a way for me to document the things that were new to me, the things were that close to me. I was actually traveling around the city and finding my way out, and I was taking photos. There was something I really liked about holding a camera, and it was a way to see the world, what is beyond, and telling stories through photographs. Then I got really interested, and I remember I bought a camera, a DSLR camera, Canon DSLR camera, and that was 2013. And then at the end of 2013, I decided that I wanted to study because obviously, after all, everyone pushed me. Everyone actually thought that I can actually study photography. And I was very lucky enough to get admission at one of the best photography college in Melbourne, which is called the Photography Studies College in South Bank in Melbourne. And I did my 3 years bachelor, with some amazing people from Photography Studies College. And I actually feel that I'm very lucky because while I was one of the finalists at the Bonus Photography Prize, my teacher actually, Katrin Kyung, she won the first prize. And that night, it was a proud moment for me to celebrate with her because I got the Color Factory honorable mention, and standing with her and having that evening as a celebration of photography work in such a platform, for me it was an honor, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm very thankful that obviously I started this journey.
What a journey. And another big thing that you're doing is later this year you're heading to Bogor to take a photography workshop with refugees there. This is not the first time that you've done a workshop like this. Tell me about the first workshop you did in Bogor in Indonesia and what your connection is.
Yes, that's right. So it all started when I was doing my final year at uni. So it was 2016, and I was doing my major in documentary, and I thought to myself, I'm a refugee. Obviously, I left my country due to war and due to discrimination, uh, and a lot of other people, a lot of other refugees from Iran, from Pakistan, from Afghanistan, they left the country because of these problems.
Yeah.
And the problem is still going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought to myself, now I have the knowledge of photography. Now I have a camera. I want to do something different. I want to actually portray my story. I want to portray the people who actually connects with me, the Afghan community, the Hazara community here in Melbourne. So I started a project from Melbourne documenting my own family, my own friends, and then I decided that I could actually go to Jaghori in Indonesia, where there is a large number of refugees who are very, very disadvantaged, who got no proper right, who are basically living a life in limbo and obviously have a very uncertain future ahead of them, not knowing what's going to happen. And then I said, if I have the knowledge of photography, why not I just go there and run a workshop for these young people? I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't know people over there. I just got connected with a few local leaders from the refugee schools, and they actually thought that this is a great idea. You can come in, and there will be a lot of young people who would be very interested. But I wasn't really sure. When I got there, and there was the first day, I witnessed 25 students, came to my workshop. For me, it was a challenge because they didn't have a camera, and I tried my best to collect as much as I can. Like I bought 3 DSLRs, and I also had my own camera. And some of the friends, they actually gave me some of the small, old Canon compact cameras. And at the end of the day, we had about 10 cameras, which was very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
The 2-week workshop was very, very good, and it went very quick. We had so much fun. Everyone was cooperating. Everyone was learning from each other. So basically, it wasn't just a photography workshop. It was basically a way of connecting, a way of coming together, celebrating that we are all on the same page and we all are photographers. We can actually learn something from each other. And my time was over, so I was actually coming back towards Melbourne. And then after a couple of weeks, I heard that, a few organizations from there, they got interested. They actually said that we will basically, organize an exhibition because the students, they produced an amazing body of work about themselves. And it was actually exhibited twice.
Okay, where was that?
And that was exhibited in Jakarta, and one was organized by University of Yogyakarta, and one was organized by ENZA, the community organization called ENZA. So they basically did all the printing. They organized the exhibition, and they invited everyone coming, and they had like so many people visiting the gallery, and they basically had an opening where the people actually donated money, and the photographs were sold. And that evening, a couple of photographs got sold, and basically there was such a success. I couldn't believe it because I thought like that's it. Maybe this is the 2 weeks workshop. That's the end. But I still had the hope that one day I could exhibit those work. But I didn't know that there would be other people who would be very interested to exhibit those work, because that actually gave a lot of energy to these young people and really pushed them that they can actually continue what they have started.
What a success by the sounds. And you've got another workshop coming up in December. How long is this going to be, and do you know how many students there will be?
This coming one is obviously in December, starting from the 25th of December going until 5th of January. So it's a 10 days workshop. So far, we have about 30 to 35 students already enrolled. As this is because of the holiday season, we're expecting more students coming. So we have obviously considered about 30 to 40 students so far.
And what sort of things do you like to teach them? Do you do still lifes, landscape, portraits?
I'm basically a documentary photographer myself. When I finished my degree, final year, I studied documentary. So I'll be basically teaching them how to, use the camera, the different techniques and the camera craft, give them a bit of knowledge. So that's why the workshop is designed. The first 5 days is more about, the language of photography, how to use a camera, and learning about different light technique and all the compositions, the camera angles, and all those things that when you start a photography, you obviously need to know them. So then we will have a lot of demonstration. We will be basically going out as a group. There will be a lot of demos. They can actually go out and shoot. And the last 5 days is designed so that they can individually go out and basically go out and shoot. And that's very, very open. If they want to approach documentary style, they can do it. If they want to basically shoot anything that makes them happy, it's a very open, basically open theme. They can shoot anything they like, as long as obviously they create a body of work within that 5 days. And after that, the last 2 days, they will be basically on the 4th and the 5th of January, they will be basically coming out with the final series of work, and they will be presenting in front of everyone. So that's how the workshop is designed so far.
And do you know if there will be an exhibition again this time, or do you have to wait and see?
I'm basically in the process of getting that organized. I have a couple of friends who basically spoken to a few organizations. As I mentioned, ENZA. ENZA is one of the organizations there that they do a lot of work for refugees. They have actually told us that they will basically do the exhibition for us, and they will basically help us get all the work printed. But again, I have to be there, so I have to have a chat with them and a bit more in detail, like what we expect and what they can do, because this time I think it's going to be a big one.
Wonderful. I bet it will be a big one. Now, if someone wants to follow your story or contribute in any way, how can they do that?
So because the number of students are basically, as I said, growing. We have 35 students already enrolled. So I have decided that, I have launched a fundraising page a week ago, and it's live and active, obviously, on my social media, Facebook, Instagram. Friends are sharing it with everyone. So that's the best way to obviously donate. Now the money will be basically spent on travel cost, exhibition printing, and most importantly, we need to use that money to buy cameras. We need at least 3 to 4 DSLRs. I have collected 4 cameras so far, and the friends basically donated them. But again, I want to buy some decent, good cameras, because without them, it's very, very hard. I wish we can have a camera for each student, which is very impossible. But at least if we have 3 to 4 DSLRs, that would be very, very useful. So people can find me on my Instagram, on my Facebook, and they can visit the page, the fundraising page, and they can read the story. Everything is there about the workshop. There will be photographs and everything from the previous workshop that we did. If they would like to obviously get more information, they can always send me a private message on Facebook.
Wonderful. Zia, Tahi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.